There's got to be a place, somewhere a man can live in peace without having to worry about bandits, slavers, or the Holy Nation. It can't all be like this, don't you think? I have heard of such a place. In whispered rumors, somewhere that you could live your life without worry for your safety. They say it's off to the northwest of here, an island paradise with sandy beaches, and not a single bandit or slaver in sight. Of course, I'd never recommend anyone go there. It's called Raptor Island, a miserable place full of swamp raptors.
He's gone.
Huh? I hadn't finished. You don't think he's actually on his way, do you?
I do.
Oh, well, And so I began my journey. I hadn't heard everything Sigurd had to say, but what I had was more than enough. Paradise, an island somewhere to the northwest. I would go there and live a peaceful life. The trip would be dangerous, but I was prepared to face that danger if it meant attaining the prize I had desired for so long. Immediately after leaving the hub, hungry bandits began chasing me. They were persistent, but I decided it would be best to ignore them. I passed through the outskirts of the Western Hive and they gave up the chase. Approaching the Fog Islands, a sickening feeling began to come over me. I'd felt it before, long ago. Cannibals. They attacked, using their numbers as an overwhelming advantage. I was beaten. One of them flung me over their shoulder and began to carry me off. We climbed a nearby mountain, headed towards the ocean. I wondered, had they somehow guessed my destination? That was most definitely not the case. I was bound to a pole, hands behind my back. I could clearly see a spit, roasting strange meat over an open flame. It smelled dreadful, that pervasive, putrid odor. I had to escape, and fast. I got to work on my bindings. None of my captors noticed. I took advantage of their carelessness and ran, leaving behind my boots and armor in order to gain any edge over my pursuers that I possibly could. I ran and ran, my heart racing. I was going along the coast, a perfect way to spot my paradise island if I could last long enough to do so. I saw a Nomad Village and approached, convincing myself that there was enough distance between me and the cannibal camp. There was no one outside. I decided to rest by the fire, removing my helmet and setting it down. Later, I watched the sunrise before returning to the village. A pack of cannibals ambushed me. I was captured. Again. The one carrying me split from the main group after a short time, and it became just the two of us traveling across Drag. As we went, I noticed a Hiver village in the distance. I held out hope that they might come to my rescue. None of them did. We met up with more cannibals, but for some reason they all just stood around, eyeing me. They were interrupted by a hungry bandit assault. The two groups clashed fiercely. The bandits seemed to hold the advantage. Finally, one of them took down the cannibal carrying me, and I fled. I sprinted full speed towards the nearby village. I went straight into the general store and asked about the island. They seemed confused that I wasn't there specifically to buy their products, but directed me to an island a short ways off from the nearest shore. I thanked the hiver and headed west, my anticipation building as the sounds of the sea grew louder. The journey had nearly ended in disaster several times, but things were finally looking up. For once in my life, I would have peace. There it was, before my very eyes, the island paradise Sigurd had described. Beautiful. However, There was one problem. I had never learned how to swim. No one taught me. Leisure had been the last thing on my mind as a child. I decided to wander the shore, desperately hoping there would be some way across. Then, the strain of my journey hit me all at once. I was starving, doused in sweat, limping, and generally feeling awful. The days had blurred together since leaving the hub. That would have been the last place I ate or rested or had any real measure of safety. It was all too much. I hadn't found a way across, but my eyelids felt like they had sacks full of iron ore attached to them. I decided to stop for a moment to gather myself. I was trying to stay up and conscious. Drag is cannibal country after all, but soon hunger overtook me and I collapsed. I opened my eyes and looked around. I was somewhere new. I must have fallen into the ocean and gotten swept away by the current. Scanning the area, doubt turned to certainty, and I was flooded with a surging, overflowing excitement. I had made it. I was on the island. I couldn't help myself. I ran along the shore, gleefully exploring my newfound home. Only later would I come to recognize the misery of that accursed island.